What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and we got some video game related news I was not expecting to see today, as we found out that Ubisoft has partnered with Netflix for an Assassin's Creed live action series in addition to several other projects. And I've already seen people on both sides, some of them saying, wow, this is going to be hot garbage, some of them saying they're really excited for it. We're going to take a look at the details and who's involved in making this, and why I do think you should be worried about where this series could go and how woke it could get based on one of the people involved. But first, let's take a look at the initial announcement. Now, the first place I saw it was fandom right here. Assassin's Creed live action series in the works at Netflix. And they did go ahead when they made this announcement, Netflix plus Assassin's Creed. Let's take a look at this really short little tease right here. There you go. You hear the eagle. You hear the eagle in the distance. Now, my first instinct on this, right, regardless of anything else, regardless of Netflix's history, the idea of a live-action Assassin's Creed series, I think, is awesome. I think that's the way it should be told. We all saw what happened with the movie. That's what a lot of the responses are talking about with this movie, right? The movie was a failure. Look on the bright side. Can't be worse than the Assassin's Creed movie, right? And a lot of people mentioning the movie and how bad it was. Now, when you do go and look at Assassin's Creed, you see it only made $240 million worldwide box office on a budget of $125 million. Likely just barely broke even on that movie. Not really successful when you're talking about Hollywood. But the idea of telling it in, 8 episodes, 10 episode series, I think is the right way to tell an Assassin's Creed story. I think there's a ton of different things you could do. You could definitely make sure you do in the past and the present. Are we going to actually get Desmond in these? I think a lot of people, that's really what they want. They would love to see that played out. They like to see Ezio played out on screen. That's nearly everyone's favorite assassin, right? And favorite story is probably Ezio's story. But we have no details on that so far, anything like that. Let's see what we do know. Assassin's Creed show to become live-action Netflix show. Multiple projects being planned. Netflix has announced it will produce a live-action Assassin's Creed series, executive produced by Ubisoft's Jason Altman and Danielle Krennic. Remember that name, Danielle Krennic, which will be the first of multiple new projects. Announced on Twitter, the collaboration got a teaser logo below, like we showed it. A press release explains the live-action series will be an epic, genre-bending live-action adaptation. A search is currently underway for a showrunner. Now, one of the reasons that people are worried about this is because we see what is happening with The Witcher. As well received as The Witcher was for a lot of people in Season 1, the question was, that's fine, they're building the world, but there's not really a whole lot of Geralt. We thought there'd be more Geralt. Well, guess what? In Season 2, you're gonna get even less. Based on what Henry Cavill has said, and what they've said they're focusing on, we're gonna see less Geralt and more Ciri and Yennefer. So this show is gonna become even more less about The Witcher. And you've heard Henry Cavill talk about how they're really departing from the lore in the video games and books. That's probably what people are worried about is going to happen with Assassin's Creed as well. Especially, and let's just get to it right now. Danielle Krennic. Who is Danielle Krennic? Well, luckily for you, Ubisoft has a spot right here. Women of Ubisoft, Danielle Krennic. And we can go through and see a couple of things here. They ask her a bunch of questions, but for some reason, a lot of these questions are based on things that don't have anything to do with video games, that don't have anything to do with this, but for some reason just all about diversity and all about gender biases and things like that. Let's see what we have. Video game development has a large gender disparity. Is the same true for film and television? There's definitely a disparity in Hollywood as well, and we're working in our way to help change things. It's a male-dominated field, but I think slowly but surely it's becoming more equal. And of course, when they say equal, they're not talking about equality, they're talking about equity. They've been pretty straightforward that that's what they desire, equity, not actual equality. What about right here? Why do you think it's important to elevate female voices? Women aren't often given the chance to write within the big genre spaces. That was made obvious by the list of writers we were getting. For us, it was important to raise up these voices that are not being read or heard in this space. Personally, I want to see stories from different points of view, and I don't think we've seen enough diverse storytelling in film and television. I think being able to tell stories from a different point of view opens up a new world, and that is always my goal. When you see yourself or your experience reflected on the screen, it makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel seen. Let's just stop right there for a second. We're talking about Assassin's Creed. We're talking about where you've had protagonists in Renaissance Italy, in the Middle Ages, in ancient Egypt, in ancient Greece. I don't fucking see myself when I play those characters. I see who those characters are. This obsession with making sure everyone feels represented by being able to play a character that represents them. None of those people represent me. Just because someone might have a similar skin tone as me doesn't mean that that is me or that I am represented by them. This obsession needs to stop, but we know that it won't. Are there any women in the industry whose work you admire? She talks about Cindy Holland at Netflix, who truly changed the landscape. So this interview was over a year ago, just so you guys know. When you came into this role at Ubisoft, here you go. Was it with the intention of raising underrepresented voices? That's always my intention. I want to tell new stories. How do we see things from a new perspective in worlds that we've seen before? I don't necessarily set out to make something more diverse, but organically it tends to work out that way when you hear a pitch on the project. We hear multiple pitches on projects, and we select the one that feels most exciting and fresh. So she goes from, that's always my intention, is to raise underrepresented voices. Then she says, I don't necessarily set out to make diverse movies, diverse films, but that's just what happens. So this is one of the people who are involved with this, just so everyone knows. But I guess let's get into the details. However, this is apparently just the first project from Ubisoft and Netflix. The collaboration will tap into the iconic video game's trove of dynamic stories to create live action, fucking IGN, live action, maybe a Freudian slip there from IGN, animated and anime series. This may include the Assassin's Creed anime series we previously heard was being developed by Castlevania anime producer. The deal also seems to be fruition of Ubisoft's promise to create Assassin's Creed TV series in 2017. And this is from Jason Altman. For more than 10 years, millions of fans have helped shape the Assassin's Creed brand into an iconic franchise. We're thrilled to create Assassin's Creed series with Netflix and look forward to developing the next saga in the series. And listen, like I said, I think from a sit back, forget that Netflix is involved, forget Netflix, whose stock is absolutely in the shitter after the whole Cuties debacle because they've lost so much money after all those subs left. But forget about the fact that Netflix is making this, forget about the fact that Assassin's Creed movie was bad. In just looking at this, I think it could be incredible. It could be a great way to tell these stories. Each season, in my head, each season could be focused on a different assassin in a different era, all while your present day protagonist, maybe Desmond, I'm sure they're not going to do that though. They're going to create somebody else. It's going to be a freaking woman. While your current day protagonist keeps learning more and more about what's going on, about history, and getting more involved in stuff. That is ideally, I think, an incredible thing for them to do. I don't really have any faith that it's going to happen based on our history, what we've seen, based on what Netflix has done with adaptations, and based on one of the people involved in this project and the fact that it's very clear they care more about representing people and diversity and all of these things rather than actually telling a great story. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Do you think it's going to be awesome? Do you think it's going to be shit? Or are you in the middle? Let me know. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.